the 150 sir. Always less than 50.
Now, the PC is coming rather interesting.
You have a DC and realizer?
Good morning to all.
Good morning,
Good morning,
sir.
sir.
So out of 150 students, only 44 online. It's very good. Okay. Yesterday we started with the topic regulation of the respiration. I discussed about the types of regulatory mechanisms. One is the neural and another one is chemical. So in neural, we discussed about some centers, medulla and oblongata, medulla oblongata and pons, depending upon the position. The centers which are present in medulla cortex, medullary centers, centers present in pons or cortex, pontine centers. So in medulla, there are two group of centers are present, which are called as inspiratory centers or dorsal respiratory group. Better word is DRG, the dorsal respiratory group. Second one, expiratory, that is ventral. So yesterday in detail I discussed about the functions, different types of neurons present in DRG. Okay. Now, you know, when we are talking about some higher centers, the electric centers, there will be some connections. There will be some connections, neural connections. The information goes towards the center and comes from the centers, that you know. The information which comes from the centers called as afferent pathway, which goes towards the center is called as efferent pathway. This respiratory center receives afferent impulses from different parts of body. So it is the diagram what you are showing towards the right side of screen. It is somewhat not clear, but still that's the rough idea you should have. This respiratory center receives afferent impulses from peripheral chemoreceptors. These chemoreceptors, today I am going to cover in chemical regulations. There are two varieties, central and peripheral. So from these receptors, nerve connection will be there. Okay, this is the part of afferent pathway. So peripheral chemoreceptors and baroreceptors via branches of glossopharyngeal and vagus nerve. So you can see in the diagram, both the sides you are seeing, observing the arch of aorta. In arch of aorta, some receptors are shown, and at the top, about the bifurcation, you can see some receptors. So you might have come across about these receptors when we were studying the regulation of the respiration. So, sorry, regulation of blood pressure. The same receptors are here, they have a connection with with respect to change in the blood pressure, there will be change in the respiration also. So that explains having the afferent connection from the center to these receptors. Okay. So some receptors I will read out and I will discuss in detail about these receptors in factors affecting immediately after this one. stretch receptors of the lungs. So lung diagram is there. From lung to the higher intestinal connection is there. At the lung, stretch receptors are there. By receiving the impulse from these receptors, the receptors regulates the activity, and receptors are concerned with the change in the partial pressure of gases, that is oxygen, carbon dioxide, and even hydrogen ion also. So the same receptors connection are particular about these partial pressure changes. Okay, this is some brief idea about afferent. Efferent, the nerve pathway. So efferent from respiratory centers, nerves from the respiratory centers, that comes from brain stem. From brain stem to anterior part of lateral column of the spinal cord. So if you are having a better diagram, whichever book you are referring, some books are shown this diagram, and some the reference books are particularly guideline, they are having this diagram. Just please refer. So brainstem, from brainstem, these efferent nerves, I am talking efferent. Just now I discussed the afferent that carries from the receptor towards the center. Now efferent from the center towards the periphery. Okay. From brainstem, the nerve passes through the anterior part of lateral column of the spinal cord. You are seeing the spinal cord diagram here. In spinal cord, anterior column of the spinal cord is having some nerve structure. From there, these efferent nerves come out and terminates the motor neuron in anterior horn of cervical and thoracic segment. Then from there ends in phrenic nerve. That root value is C3 and C5, which supplies diaphragm. Then intercostal nerve fibers, the root value is T1 and T12 or TL1, which supplies intercostal muscles. These are all efferent nerves. Okay, this is some nerve pathway. Now coming to today's class, this small class, factors affecting respiratory systems. So far we discussed neural centers, which is a long question for you people. Neural centers. In neural, medulla and oblongata. In medulla, DRG, VRG, pons, pneumotaxic and pons. What are the factors affecting these centers? Today we are going to see. The first one, impulse from higher centers. Higher to these respiratory centers. That is medulla and pons. Okay. Higher. What are these higher centers? Cingulate gyrus. It is not in the PPT. I request these 44 students who are attending regularly, and out of 44 students, I don't know how many students are really listening the online class, because sometimes they see that there are mobile is on and they do their personal work. I don't know, there is no answer. Even my son do the same thing for the online class. So we can't say anything. But those students who are really following, who are in touch with the present subject, especially regulations, I request you people to keep a notebook by your side. Even in theory class also, offline class, I prefer giving some notes. It's not compulsory that all you should take down, at least some point. So I prefer giving some flow charts and some outline points. Very important examination point. And these some notes and whatever the narration will be there, it is a mixture of so many things, so many textbooks. Like what we are discussing right now, the respiratory centers, they are a group of neurons like our classes will be group of so many books. So it helps you. You are referring only one book, following one book and referring one more book, for example. So it is not possible for you to follow so many books at a time for one particular topic. So better, for example, I asked you to take down. It is not available in the regular textbook. So the first point in PPT, what you are seeing, the impulses from the higher centers. Impulse from the higher centers can stimulate or inhibit respiratory centers directly. So it is having a connection. So what are those higher centers? Take down cingulate gyrus. Cingulate gyrus. Second one, corpus callosum. Cingulate gyrus, corpus callosum. Third one, olfactory tubercle. Then post-orbital gyrus. These all inhibit the respiration. And the first factor, what you are seeing, these higher centers stimulation either inhibit or stimulate. Increase or decrease. Okay. These four is what I told: cingulate gyrus, corpus callosum, olfactory tubercle, post-orbital gyrus. They inhibit the respiration. And simultaneously, motor areas, they increase the respiration. This is the first factor affecting the respiratory center. Second one, very important, examination point of view. So it is a 3-mark question for you people for the final examination and also a Viva question. The second one, impulse from stretch receptors of lung. It is also called as Haring-Brewer reflex. Okay. Now, my question is, please answer. What is tidal volume? Anybody? No response. Nobody online.
So normal volume of air inspired or expired.
Very good. Some
500 ml.
Yeah, can I know your number?
102, sir.
102. Good. So it is also factor affecting teacher who is teaching you. So you will come to know at least some students are listening. So it is a factor affecting teaching. Okay. How much tidal volume is there? 1 or 2? Anybody other?
500 ml, 400 to 500 ml, sir.
Okay. 500 ml. Now, with respect to this impulse from stretch receptors, that is Haring-Brewer reflex. Normally, when the tidal volume is around 500 ml, this reflex will not come in action. Clear? Just to listen the class like a story. If you remember 25% is out of these 50 minutes or 1 hour of class, it is more than sufficient for teacher like me. Okay? Now, I request you to take a deep breathing or increase your tidal volume to the extent of 1000 ml. A maximum beyond that also. And to the extent how you can take a deep breathing. Okay, you took 1 or 2. Roll number 1 or 2.
Yes, sir.
To one extent, you can't breathe. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, particular. This deep inspiration, it differs from person to person. It depends upon the build of the person and gender also. Okay. One particular. So tidal normally 500 ml tidal volume is there. It goes on increasing. So increasing to one level, you can't take inspire, better word. Something is going to stop you. I am not talking about the function of DRG. In DRG, that is dorsal respiratory group, there are different types of neurons. One is centrally active inspirated neurons, and another one is IOS, off switch neurons, inspirator. So these stop the inspiration, but I am not discussing that mechanism. Sorry. And voluntary, what you are taking, what you are breathing, at one particular moment it stops you. So this is concerned with this hearing reflex. So this is their protective phenomena. So if you try to breathe, it leads to the overstretch of thoracic case, lung. So damage may occur. So the second one, impulse from stretch receptors, what it tells, it is a protective reflex. It limits the inspiration, prevents the overstretching of the lungs. These stretch receptors are present in the wall of bronchi and bronchioles. If you go through the structure of respiratory tract and the bifurcation of the bronchi, next part you are going to get this bronchi and bronchioles. Here in the wall of this bronchi and bronchioles, these stretch receptors are present. These stretch receptors are stimulated when the tidal volume increases more than 1000 ml. Normally the tidal volume is 500 ml. When it reaches to 1000 ml, stimulation of these receptors occurs. As I told, it is a protective reflex. It limits the inspiration. The expansion of the lung during inspiration stimulates these receptors. These receptors act on DRG, particularly with IOS neurons. The functions of IOS neuron is to stop the inspiration, stop the inspiratory rap, which is generated by CIA, centrally active inspiratory neurons. Centrally inspiratory active neurons, CIA. Okay, just to imagine that inspiratory rap, you will come to know. So these receptors act on DRG. Inspiration stops and expiration starts. Clear? Normally, this reflex will not come in action unless the tidal volume increases 1000 ml. Clear? So you can put it in a flow chart. The flow chart is it is a reflex. You can take this PPT reflex, reflex diagram also. So I would like to give one flow chart. Please take it off. Inspiration, that leads to flowchart, you know how this arrow mark down and take down. That leads to tidal volume more than 1000 ml. Tidal volume more than 1000 ml. That leads to stretching of lungs. That leads to stimulation of stretch receptors. That leads to impulse through afferent nerve, that is vagus. The same thing diagram, I am putting it in a proper way. The phrenic nerve diaphragm stretch receptors. In the phrenic and diaphragm, I took the impulse from the receptors. The impulse through the vagal nerve, that leads to inhibition of DRG. That leads to stoppage of inspiration and start of expiration. It's clear? Anybody apart from 1 or 2, please say yes or no. Hearing brewer reflex, it is clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Okay, next factor affecting J receptors. Impulse from J receptors. J receptors are juxtacapillary receptors which are present in the wall of alveoli and close. They have the close contact with pulmonary capillaries. See, you know the structure of alveoli. In alveoli, these J receptors are present. So when the pathology occurs, pathology of lung, we call it as COPD, chronic obstructive pulmonary diseases, COPD, is a group of diseases. So like pulmonary congestion, pulmonary edema, pneumonia, like especially corona, viral pneumonia you heard. It also leads to viral pneumonia, that coronavirus. So there also, and poor inflammation of the lungs. These are all things. These are the part of COPD. These stimulates J receptors, which are present in alveoli. Okay. So this stimulation of the J receptors leads to apnea. What is apnea? Stoppage of breathing. So normally J receptors are present in the alveoli. They are not stimulated. When this gets the stimulation, stoppage of respiration occurs. Okay. So what happens? Now little part of chemical regulation I am telling here. So next after this factor separating, I am going to start the chemical regulation. So what happens? Just to imagine when you stop the breathing, voluntary, you can stop the breathing. So here, involuntary it is occurring. It is a pathology. J receptors are stimulated because of some pathology, that is COPD. When these states J receptors gets the stimulation, apnea occurs. Apnea is nothing but stoppage of breathing. When breathing stops, breathing stops, then external respiration stops, but internal respiration will be on. So external respiration is nothing but exchange of gases at the alveoli and the transport of the gases inside and into the blood. But internal respiration, gases exchange at the cell level. So it consumes the oxygen. When apnea occurs, there won't be any oxygen, but the already taken oxygen, carbon dioxide is liberated. Internal respiration will be going on. So because of this internal respiration, the carbon dioxide is liberated from the tissue, and this carbon dioxide is accumulated in the blood during the apnea. So I will tell in detail in the chemical regulation. This increased partial pressure of carbon dioxide is a strong stimulant for the respiratory centers. This neural center only. So here, with respect to the J receptors, when it is stimulated, leads to apnea. When apnea occurs, accumulation of the CO2, that PCO2 increases. This PCO2 stimulates the center, leads to the increased respiration. That is, leads to hyperventilation. During this hyperventilation, elimination of carbon dioxide occurs. To eliminate this carbon dioxide, hyperventilation occurs. Interrelated. It's clear. I am talking about the J receptors, which are one of the factors affecting for the respiratory centers. Okay, next one. Irritant receptors. Impulses from irritant receptors of the lungs. These irritant receptors are situated on the wall of bronchi and bronchioles. Already I told at the bronchi and bronchioles, the Herring-Brewer, the stress receptors are also present. Along with the stress receptors, these irritant receptors are also present. They got stimulated by harmful chemicals like ammonia. in a biochemistry lab, when you will be exposed to ammonia or sulfur dioxide, what happens? The same example I am giving. Stimulation of the irritant receptors, which are present along with the stress receptors, are stimulated, produces the reflex of hyperventilations with bronchospasm, which prevents the entry of the harmful chemicals or harmful chemicals into the alveolar. Better word, I will tell you. When these irritant receptors are stimulated, the chemical, because of the chemical substances like ammonia and sulfur dioxide, the impulses from the irritant receptors goes to the afferent nerve, that is vagus, to the respiratory centers. It leads to hyperventilation. Again, it leads to hyperventilation. This hyperventilation leads to the elimination of this ammonia and sulfur dioxide. It leads to the elimination. So it prevents, we can call it also as preventive reflex. It prevents the chemicals entering the alveolar. So when these receptors are stimulated, there is a gap between the location of the receptors and the alveoli. So in that time, this protective mechanism reflex, it prevents the entry of this ammonia and sulfur dioxide through the alveoli. Okay, this is the fourth factor. Now, impulse from proprioceptors. So I was discussing about the neurons present in DRG. There also I told some neurons are concerned with proprioceptors. So what is this neuron? The proprioceptors versus proprioceptors are the receptors which give response to the change in the position or posture of different parts of the body. Okay. Now, listen. The receptors are situated. These proprioceptors, location I am talking. These are situated in joints, muscles, tendons. Imagine, simultaneously imagine, they get stimulated during exercise. Imagine you are doing exercise, especially jogging. We'll take an example. What happens while you are jogging? The receptors, where they are present in the joint, muscles, and tendons. Just imagine the tendons of the ankle joint, knee joint, muscles, calf muscles, and thigh muscles, joint, ankle joint, knee joint, and hip also. Here the receptors are present, and I am talking with respect to the example of jogging. So what happens during the jogging? Your respiration increases. Why it increases? This is the physiology behind. The impulse from proprioceptors. When these receptors come in action, that is stimulated, the impulse will be carried to the cerebral cortex. Not they are bypassing. It's a voluntary, because voluntary you are doing exercise. Exercise is not involuntary. So from cerebral cortex, in turn, by activating the medullary respiratory centers. So we discussed just for the first one. The respiratory centers are under influence of higher centers. So here the proprioceptors gives the message to the higher centers. I told in the beginning, while I classified the voluntary and involuntary respiration. The centers for voluntary respiration are present in the cortex. So these receptors, proprioceptors, sends the message to the cortex, higher centers. From higher centers, the message comes, the impulse comes to the respiratory centers. So indirectly, it leads to the hyperventilations. This is the example. This is the physiology behind why your respiration increases while you are hyperventilating, while you are jogging or doing some exercise. Okay. The next one, impulse from thermoreceptors. Thermoreceptors, as the term itself indicates, thermoreceptors concerned with temperature. Thermoreceptors gives response to change in body temperature. These are cutaneous receptors, namely cold and warm. Just imagine you people are exposed for the cold and you are exposed to the hot also. Imagine when you are exposed to the cold environment, if you go like hill stations in the winter section, like Switzerland atmosphere, Blue Manali atmosphere, some other things, you get too much of AC. So what happens? Your respiration changes, hyperventilation starts. And imagine when you take a bath with hot water. Yeah, imagine when you touch a hot substances. Immediately, what happens to the respiration? The same examples. They are cutaneous receptors, namely cold and warm. When these receptors get stimulated, they send signals to the cerebral cortex. Again, same thing. Cerebral cortex in turn stimulates the respiratory centers and causes hyperventilation. This is the sixth factor affected. Next one. Impulse from pain receptor. Okay. Pain receptors, I think in CNS you studied so far pain pathway. Is your pain pathway for you? In CNS? No response.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, good. 1 or 2? Roll
Yes,
number
sir.
1 or 2? Roll number 1 or 2?
Yes, sir.
And you meet me when you come join college. You meet me once. Okay? You will be benefited. You will be benefited. Definitely, because no other students are responding. Yesterday 77 students were there. Now I think 45 students are attending. I don't know out of 45 how many are properly listening. This is the effect of online class. Okay. So pain receptors, whenever the pain receptor gives response to the pain stimulus. Imagine one of your friend pinches you. What happens immediately? Immediately you take a breath. You take a deep breath. Then you will see that connection is withdrawn. The same thing. Like other receptors, this receptor also send the impulse to the cerebral cortex. From cerebral cortex, in turn the impulse reaches the respiratory centers and leads to the hyperventilation. Cough reflex. This is a protective reflex caused by the cough sneezing. Okay, small importance. I will be this topic. Okay, deglutition also. There is one particular practical statography I am taking shortly. In that time we will discuss about the deglutition reflex, cough reflex and sneezing. They are also part of this data. Okay. Now, coming to today's class. Proper class is short class, 15 minutes. Chemical regulation. So in the beginning, I told regulation of respiration occurs because of two things. One is neural, another one is chemical. So together, neural and chemical may be a long question, or chemical regulation may be a 5-mark question and 3-mark question, separate. Okay. Now, for chemical. So as the term itself tells, chemical. So there will be change in the chemical substances. Then only this chemical mechanism comes in action. Okay. So the concern for this mechanisms are, of course, receptors. These receptors are chemoreceptors. chemoreceptors are responsible for chemical mechanism. So chemoreceptors are stimulated as there is change in the chemical composition, as the title tells. What are these chemical composition? These are three. One, partial pressure of oxygen, partial pressure of carbon dioxide, and a partial and hydrogen ion concentration. So, whenever there will be decrease in the partial pressure of oxygen, that situation is called as A, hypoxia. It is given. The chemoreceptors, they are receptors which give response to the change in the chemical constituents of the blood, like hypoxia. Parallelly, I told, whenever there will be decrease in the partial pressure of oxygen, the situation is called as hypoxia. These chemoreceptors will come in action. The second one, hypercapnia. Whenever there will be increase in the carbon dioxide partial pressure, increase in the partial pressure of the carbon dioxide, the situation is called as hypercapnia. These chemoreceptors will come in action. And the third one, increase in the hydrogen ion concentration, decrease of blood pH. So these three conditions stimulate the chemoreceptors. So there are two types of chemoreceptors. Chemoreceptors are classified in two groups. One is central chemoreceptors, another one is peripheral chemoreceptors. The first one, central chemoreceptors. The central chemoreceptors location. These are situated in medulla oblongata. Medulla oblongata, deeper to DRG. Just you recollect the last class. The lower part, the DRG are present. Dorsal part, DRG are present. Because of that only, DRG. Because of that, DRG dorsal name is there. So very in close connection with DRG, little deeper to this DRG structure, these central chemoreceptors are located. Okay. And also these chemoreceptors are very in close contact with blood and CSF. Blood and CSF. Okay. Now, when these will come in action, just you go through the slide one time. It's a big slide and accumulated. So many things are there. You read the slide once. Okay. Now, listen. As I told, these chemoreceptors, both central and peripheral, are stimulated whenever there will be change in the chemical composition. That is hypoxia, hypercapnia, and increase hydrogen ion concentration. Here, central chemoreceptors, you know the location. They are present in the near deeper to the DRG and also close contact with blood and CSF. Whenever there will be increase in a hydrogen ion concentration, whenever there will be increase in the hydrogen H plus hydrogen ion concentration, these central chemoreceptors are stimulated. But the thing is, this increased hydrogen ion concentration will not directly stimulate the central chemoreceptors, because I told these central chemoreceptors are present closely to the CSF and blood-brain barrier. these increased H ion will not cross the CS. It will not cross the blood-brain barrier, and it will not stimulate. When it is not crossing, it will not stimulate. Then something is going to stimulate the centers. What stimulates? Parallelly, one sequence occurs. Whenever there will be increase in the H ion, the PCO2 will be increased. That is hypercapnia. This PCO2, yeah, but carbon dioxide, this increased carbon dioxide combines with water molecule, H2O. CO2 plus H2O, it forms bicarbonic acid, H2CO3. This H2CO3 is unstable. So it splits into H2, by H2CO3 is carbonic acid. Carbonic acid, it splits into bicarbonate, that is SCO3 and H ion. SCO3 is a minus ion, H is a plus ion. So this CO2 when combines with water, it leads to the formation of H ion. Okay, this CO2, it will cross the CSF and blood-brain barrier. When CO2 crosses, it combines with water and it leads to the H ion liberation. So this H ion liberation, H ion, sorry, I told something, confused a little bit because of this phone, sorry. When there will be increase in the H ion, the PCO2 leads to the increased PCO2 and it forms the this reaction, and this increase, as I told, increased carbon dioxide is a strong stimulant for the respiratory centers. Okay, and simultaneously it leads to the H ion liberation also. These will stimulate the chemical chemoreceptors, central chemoreceptors. Okay, this is the mechanism. One more time I will tell you, I mean, you people little confused. So there are two types of central, chemoreceptors. One is the central chemoreceptors, and another one is the peripheral chemoreceptors. Central chemoreceptors are present in the medulla oblongata, deeper to the dorsal respiratory group neurons. They are in the connection with the CSF and blood. Okay, whenever there will be increase in the hydrogen ion concentration, these are stimulated. So what happens here? That increased, as this hydrogen ion will not cross the CSF, it leads to the one equation, that is PCO2 plus H2O, that leads to the carbonic acid, that leads to the formation of bicarbonate and H ion formation. Okay, this process, the CSF and the blood barrier, and reaches the chemoreceptors, central chemoreceptors. So this increased PCO2 and hydrogen ion concentration together it occurs. So these are the strong stimulants for the respiratory centers. Now these are stimulated, central receptors, central chemoreceptors stimulated, they send the message to the DRG. As they are in connection with the DRG, they are having the connections. So when these are stimulated, again the DRG comes in action. This is the role of central chemoreceptors. Now peripheral chemoreceptors are situated. So you might have come this picture while you are studying the regulation of the blood pressure also. These are present in the carotid and aortic areas. See the diagram. This is the arch of aorta bifurcating and shows the presence of aortic and carotid bodies. Okay. Whenever there will be fall in partial pressure of oxygen, that is decreased PO2, situation is called as hypoxia. But hypoxia is not that much strong stimulant like PCO2. Increased hypercapnia. But the thing is, whenever hypoxia occurs, it leads to the hypercapnia inside. Okay, so when hypoxia occurs, it leads to the closure of potassium channels in the receptors at the receptors level. I am talking. Whenever hypoxia occurs at the receptor level, it leads to the closure of potassium channels. That leads to the receptor potential, generation of the receptor potential. That leads to the receptor center, that leads to the respiratory center stimulation. And simultaneously, what I told, also it leads to the increase in the PCO2. As I told, it is strong stimulant. And hydrogen ion also is strong stimulant. It leads to the hyperventilation. Okay, so this is about the peripheral chemoreceptors. Peripheral chemoreceptors. So I told about the chemical regulation of the respiration in two parts, as there are two different types of receptors are there in the chemical receptors. One is the central one, and the other one is the peripheral. The central one is responsible for the stimulation of HIF and increased PCO2, whereas peripheral chemoreceptors are responsible for hypoxia, that is decreased PO2. Together, these stimulate the respiratory centers. From here, the same thing. Peripheral chemoreceptors, the impulse is carried through the ninth nerve. Okay, it reaches the respiratory center. So this completes the peripheral chemoreceptor, that is chemical receptors, which includes both central and peripheral chemoreceptors. When the question is asked about the regulation, you have to write in two different ways. That is neural regulation and chemical regulation. In neural regulations, with respect to the middle centers and quadrant centers, you have to write. And in case factors affecting for the neural regulation is asked, you have to write that also. Chemical regulations, you have to write about the chemical parameters like hypoxia, hypercapnia, and HIN. The types of chemical chemoreceptors, that is central and peripheral, how they are stimulated, and leads to what. So you have to write about this. This includes, this concludes the regulation of respiration. Okay. So still 3-4 minutes are there. Any questions with respect to these couple of classes? Please ask. Any questions? If you are having any questions, please ask. If you have no questions, no queries, then I will to the class. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you, sir.
Thank you, sir.